What if tomorrow morning you woke up, not to your alarm clock, not to the hum of your fridge, but to silence? No lights, no running water, no cell signal, not a temporary blackout, not a storm delay. I'm talking about the grid, completely gone, forever. Would you survive? Think hard before you answer, because history tells us most people wouldn't last a week. The U.S. Department of Energy admits the power grid is attacked or disrupted thousands of times every year, and a single well-placed cyber strike or EMP could wipe it out for months. Experts at the Congressional EMP Commission warned that if the grid collapsed nationwide, 90% of Americans could die within the first year. Not from explosions, not from invasion, but from starvation, disease, and chaos. And don't think it's fantasy. New York, 1977. The blackout sparked looting, arson, and over 4,500 arrests in a single night. Venezuela, 2019. Millions trapped without electricity as hospitals failed, water stopped flowing, and crime exploded. The grid isn't invincible. It's fragile, outdated, and under constant attack. When it falls, society doesn't just pause, it unravels. Law enforcement gets overwhelmed in 72 hours. Supermarket shelves go empty in 48. Hospitals collapse in less than a week. So here's the real question. When the lights die and never come back on, are you a survivor or just another casualty? In this video, we're breaking it down to the core. 7 critical rules that will protect your family and home when the grid collapses. Miss even one, and you're gambling with everything. Rule number 7, master fire and alternative heat sources. When the power grid dies, the thermostat is no longer your ally. It's your enemy. You may not realize it, but even an indoor temperature of 50 degrees Fahrenheit can put elderly people, infants, and those with weak immune systems into hypothermia within hours. According to the CDC, over 1,300 Americans die every single year from cold-related illnesses, and that's with heating systems running. Strip those away, and the death toll doesn't just rise, it explodes. Your first defense is fire, but not the romantic kind you see in movies. I'm talking about firewood stacks that look like fortresses, tinder kits sealed in waterproof bags, and backup ignition methods that don't rely on a Bic lighter. Survivalists know the distinction. Hardwoods like oak or maple burn slow and steady, while softwoods like pine ignite fast but vanish quick. You'll need both in rotation. But here's the catch. Fire can save you or kill you. Every year, more than 400 Americans die from carbon monoxide poisoning when they try to improvise heat with charcoal grills or faulty heaters indoors. That's why ventilation is non-negotiable. Beyond fire, consider propane heaters, kerosene lamps, or even solar-powered thermal blankets. And remember this ugly truth. When the grid collapses in winter, your fire becomes a beacon. The glow from your chimney could be the one thing neighbors or looters spot in the night. Will you be prepared to defend it? Rule number 6, protect your health, sanitation, and medications. The first thing to break in a blackout isn't your TV, it's sanitation. Toilets don't flush, garbage doesn't move, and suddenly your home risks becoming a breeding ground for disease. After Hurricane Sandy, norovirus ripped through shelters within 72 hours, fueled by poor hygiene and lack of clean water. That's not maybe, that's precedent. In a true grid collapse, you need to weaponize cleanliness. Bleach, gloves, trash bags, and disinfectant wipes aren't luxury items. They're shields against bacteria and viruses that spread like wildfire once order collapses. And then comes the elephant in the room, medication. 133 million Americans depend on prescriptions daily, according to the CDC, and blackouts erase the refills instantly. Insulin spoils within 28 hours without refrigeration. Blood pressure meds? Gone in a week if supply chains falter. That's why seasoned preppers build at least a 90-day surplus and rotate it constantly. A battery-powered cooler for insulin isn't optional. It's survival. Pair that with a first aid arsenal that rivals a field hospital. Antibiotics, pain relievers, sutures, burn gels, sterile gauze. Why? Because emergency rooms don't function when the lights are out. Ambulances don't arrive when gas stations are dry. In Venezuela's 2019 blackout, hospitals literally shut down mid-surgery, leaving patients to die. Rule 6 is brutal but simple. If you can't control disease and preserve health, Your grid collapse timeline shrinks from months to days. Rule number 5. Stay connected, stay informed, stay alive. The truth about blackouts is that ignorance kills faster than bullets. When the Northeast blackout of 2003 struck 55 million Americans, phone lines collapsed, cell towers overloaded, and rumors of terrorist attacks spread like wildfire. Panic isn't caused by darkness, it's caused by silence. This is why Rule 5 is non-negotiable. Information is your oxygen. A hand crank or solar-powered NOAA emergency radio isn't a gimmick. It's a battlefield command center. NOAA's VHF signals reach 95% of the U.S. population, delivering weather warnings, evacuation orders, and updates when everything else goes dead. But you need redundancy. Solar power banks and crank chargers for phones keep you connected to what's left of the grid. Walkie-talkies maintain coordination with neighbors when shouting through windows invites danger. And the gold standard? Satellite phones. Immune to local failures, they connect directly to orbiting infrastructure. If you can afford one, it's the ace up your sleeve. But don't confuse gear with planning. Technology fails without strategy. Pre-arrange meeting points. Print emergency contacts on paper. Develop code words to signal distress or relocation when comms are compromised. In every major blackout, the people who know what's happening survive longer, move smarter, and defend better. The ones left in silence? They become statistics. Stay connected, and you're not just surviving, you're leading. Rule number 4. Control temperature or the elements will kill you. When the power grid fails, nature takes the wheel, and it doesn't care about your thermostat settings. Heat and cold become predators stalking you in your own home. The Department of Energy admits that nearly 50% of household energy use goes toward heating and cooling, which means once the grid goes dark, you instantly lose half of your survival equation. In winter, hypothermia sneaks in quietly. Body temperature just needs to dip below 95 degrees Fahrenheit for your organs to start shutting down, and that can happen in a drafty house even at 50 degrees Fahrenheit indoors. Children and seniors? They're the first to go. In summer, the flip side is just as vicious. Heat stroke kills an average of 700 Americans every year, and without AC, those numbers don't rise. They detonate. Your solution is to shrink your world. Seal one room in your home as a bunker using blankets, tarps, or duct-taped plastic. Gather everyone there, concentrate heat or airflow, and treat body warmth like a shared bank account. In winter, hot bricks wrapped in towels, layered clothing, and insulated sleeping bags keep life hanging on. In summer, blackout curtains by day and open windows at night create passive cooling, while damp sheets over doorways act as primitive evaporators. The rule is simple. Master your microclimate, or the elements will master you. Rule number 3. Lock down food and cook without the grid. Your refrigerator is a traitor during a grid collapse. Within 4 hours of a blackout, food inside it rises above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the USDA's danger zone where bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli multiply like wildfire. That means the meat, milk, and eggs you thought were dinner just turned into poison. Your first mission is triage. Cook and consume perishables immediately. Transfer anything salvageable into coolers with ice. But understand that's a 48-hour Band-Aid at best. After that, shelf-stable is the new currency of life. Canned beans, tuna, pasta, peanut butter, rice, oats, foods that last years and still deliver calories. A 20-pound bag of rice equals nearly 30,000 calories, enough to keep a family alive for weeks. But storage is only half the battle. Cooking is the other. Electric stoves are paperweights without the grid. That's why you need propane camping stoves, rocket stoves, or even solar ovens to turn dead calories into meals. And here's the overlooked element: morale. During Venezuela's 2019 blackout, reports showed that families who had access to familiar comfort foods, soups, bread, rice dishes, were calmer and more resilient than those surviving on scraps. Why? Because food is psychology. In a blackout, it's not just fuel, it's sanity. Guard it, ration it, and never underestimate the power of a warm meal in a cold, broken world. Rule number 2. Water is non-negotiable. Forget food for a second. The human body can endure 3 weeks without calories, but only 3 days without water. In a prolonged blackout, the water system collapses faster than anything else. Pumping stations depend on electricity, and when pressure drops, contamination takes over. The EPA warns that bacteria, parasites, even raw sewage seep back into the pipes. Translation: your tap becomes a loaded gun. Smart survivors act immediately. The second the grid flickers, fill every container. Bathtubs, buckets, bottles. FEMA's bare minimum is 1 gallon per person per day, but anyone who's lived through a disaster knows the truth. With cooking, cleaning, and hygiene, you need at least 3 gallons daily per person. That means a family of 4 requires nearly 90 gallons for just 1 week. Stockpiling bottled water isn't paranoia, it's math. But water storage without purification is still gambling. Life straw filters, iodine tablets, and chlorine drops can neutralize the nastiest pathogens, while boiling remains the gold standard. 1 rolling boil for a single minute kills nearly everything biological. Beyond storage, think collection. Rainwater catchment systems, snow melt, or siphoning water from a hot water heater all become survival hacks when supplies dwindle. Ignore this rule, and thirst won't just weaken you. It will end you faster than any intruder or blackout-induced chaos ever could. Rule number 1. Light first, then lock down. The first few minutes of a blackout are the most dangerous. Not because society collapses instantly, but because your home becomes a trap. Injuries spike within the first 2 hours of outages, FEMA reports, mostly from falls in the dark. That's why light is rule number 1. Not later, not tomorrow, immediately. Redundancy is your shield. Headlamps for mobility, LED lanterns in every room, solar-powered path lights, and glow sticks for children's bedrooms. The goal is to turn chaos into command within 30 seconds of the lights dying. But once you establish visibility, the second half of the rule kicks in. Lockdown. Curtains drawn, doors secured, windows braced. Here's the ugly truth. In widespread outages, police response times stretch from hours to days, meaning you are your family's first and only line of defense. Your home must project strength, not desperation. A lit, organized house behind drawn blinds signals control. A dark, panicked home with flickering candles signals weakness. Reinforce locks, block sightlines, and create the illusion of order. Because predators, whether looters or opportunists, hunt the vulnerable first. Light gives you control. Lockdown keeps it. Miss this step, and every other rule becomes irrelevant. Survival starts here, at the exact moment the darkness arrives.